This.
guy this week, it's just.
All right, meeting is called to order at 5:40. We'll just write down attendance, so I mark her in. Barb, hopefully we'll be here in a little bit. All right, so I sent out, I'm sorry I didn't get it out earlier, but I sent out an agenda and some documents earlier this afternoon. I mean, it was versions of things that had already been circulated earlier, but just kind of cleaned up copies of them. What?
We have them, what you sent out.
Yes, I brought, I printed out and brought also for, so the first thing on the agenda is the review of public services policy. We discussed this one at our first meeting of the year, the first committee meeting of the year. And I think there was a consensus there that this policy is just really unnecessary. But I don't know that we formally voted on it. So I just wanted to kind of make that official so we can propose. The idea was to propose to the full board to repeal this policy because for a couple of reasons, it's kind of micromanaging like the library and how it, does its communications with the public. And as a fact, we haven't abided by it because it basically is instructing the board to review a particular, brochure on an annual basis. And
Why don't we just tell Pete to make sure you.
yeah, so I mean, I think, Barb.
I think it's a Pete issue. Just get stuck in traffic?
I never go at it this hour, I lost
What?
track of the time that, at this hour, it doesn't take you.
I go right past your house and take a look.
So we just started, so we were on the very first item on the agenda, which is the review of public services policy. We discussed this at our first committee meeting of the year, and I think there was a consensus at that meeting that to basically repeal that policy because it really it's not really necessary and we haven't been abiding by it. But I just wanted to formally kind of committee vote on it so we can put it up to the full board to get rid of it if there's any, the very short one sentence policy at the beginning of the packet. So
This is something for Pete.
right. I think how they communicate the service to the public, whether it's a single brochure or like several different brochures that cover different types of policy or services or, through the website or whatever, that's like micromanagement that I don't think we need to get into. And we haven't been reviewing this thing.
And probably, we probably have expanded what we offer as public services by the programs we have. And that I think is for Pete management to
Yeah.
figure out.
So
I'm okay.
is everybody on board? Okay, so vote, then all in favor of proposing repeal of this policy? Yeah,
The original one.
this review of public services policy, it's
Oh,
the,
that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Visions of Wednesday.
Yeah. So,
Just wrote Pete and Ahmed.
yeah, right, so everybody's okay with that? All right. The next thing on the agenda is the social media policy and the public comment policy. We'll start with the social media policy. We discussed this,
Was you on, Barb?
were you on last month's meeting or last committee meeting? Yeah.
Needs
we-
updating First
Yeah, I
Amendment
think so.
issues on Thursday.
Right, so we discussed this in like pretty extensively last month, and I made edits, hopefully in line with what we discussed, but we're happy to go through them and we can discuss tonight. If we come to agreement, then hopefully maybe we'll have something we can, approve to pass on to the full board. But the major changes here, I did a little bit there's some minor tweaks you'll see here and there. If you look in your packet, there's two versions of it. One is the one with all the changes tracked, like with the underlines and the track changes, right? And the other is the clean version. So this is just the clean that shows with my changes in it, and this one, shows them. So
With the
yeah.
changes.
So, and feel free to go through and look, I've moved kind of the definitions up front of what we're talking about with social media sites. The major change here is under the policy section, so the bottom of the first page of the markup, is kind of shortened and condensed the the bullet list of the prohibited, types of posts on it. And the main purpose of that is just to make sure we're compliant with, the First Amendment and we're not, it's not in violation of that.
So in the first paragraph, we replaced the library's mission statement.
Yeah, because we had referred before to the library's programs, events and materials, unless we're gonna like put the mission statement in here, like people don't know, like, well, what's the mission statement? And is this relevant to the mission statement? If people are posting relevant to the programs, events and materials, then that's relevant. So that's how it was phrased. but-
Programs, events and materials. Are permitted except as listed in this. Is there any places where they're accepted in this policy?
Did,
Postings related to the library?
Well, yeah, so
I haven't gotten down that far.
I think it would just be in the policy section, things that violated one of those other,
Okay.
That we went
Points,
through point by
yeah.
point last time.
So,
This looks okay. I mean, mission statement. Okay.
Do we have to change this?
which one?
The citations adopted and.
Yeah,
revised?
that, we'll have to add a new one for, once we.
Where are we?
Just at the very, very end.
Oh, I didn't get there yet. We took out the list paragraph in the purposes section. By joining and utilizing and posting in the library's social media site, you agree to comply with this policy and the Guilderland Public Library's internet
So
policy.
the reason I did that is just it seemed like, it didn't seem like the internet policy is kind of a mishmash of various different things. That's one that's on the list of things to be
Right.
considered as well. And
Yeah,
a lot of it has nothing to do with the social media sites and really doesn't apply. And so it felt like this cross-reference here
Didn't make sense.
kind of wasn't really, the point of this policy here is just to say, here's the rules for our social media sites.
our site.
And so I didn't feel the need to cross-reference in that internet policy, which has its own kind of
well,
coverage.
it deals with different things,
Yeah.
like what pages can access and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I just felt like they're different purposes. It didn't need to be cross-referenced here.
Okay, so the definitions under policy, you picked it up and bullet pointed them effectively.
Yeah,
Library-
yeah, I put them up top just so it was before we.
Any online form. Form site. You took out web application.
I think I just made an application. Is
Okay.
web.
Social media sites, anyone farm site application. Accounts. Who are the library's agents?
Well, I think that would include its employees. Just, anyone, or if for some reason they had some outside party help to manage their social media or whatever. I don't think the library does that, but a lot of,
Okay.
if they ever did.
Facebook. Oh, Twitter's now X, right? Instagram. What's Flickr blogs?
So-
I don't know
As
what
far,
that is.
I couldn't find,
It's a different language to me.
I'm not sure. I couldn't find if the library has a Flickr account. Like maybe they did at one point. I
They
didn't,
did at one point.
do they still have one? Because if there is, we could add it back in, but I didn't, the ones I kept on there were ones where the library clearly has a current account right there. But it says it includes but not limited to, and we
Right.
named the ones that I know we have. And they're ones that have links on the library's webpage. Well, the X doesn't, but Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, there's links right there on the library's webpage to those. Then we have an X account that that's there. I didn't see it linked from our webpage, but we have one and the library uses it.
Now, did Nate look at this yet?
No. This is just than us so far, so.
What's the one the kids always look at? Is it
The one with the videos?
Oh, TikTok?
Yeah.
Do we do
TikTok?
that? Does the library have it?
I have no idea. This
But-
is all Greek to me.
Yeah, I don't think we have.
Included but not limited is.
Yeah, we
is
have,
a
we,
blank
I mean, we have a broad definition of what a social media site is and, you know.
You took out downloaded.
But it was,
I have no idea
it
what
was,
these mean.
it
That's
was,
the only reason
it
I'm
was
asking.
really weird the way it was phrased and let me
Yeah,
find where-
reference inserted or placed upon any library social media. You took out the removal though, comments and posts are welcome.
where, I'm.
I'm looking at the comments and posts are welcome. However, the library in its sole discretion may remove postings that violate this policy, included but limited to those that contain any of the following.
Well, we have the, yeah, so. Right.
Hopefully it reads now.
So in the next paragraph, so instead I just changed it, so it says, may remove postings that violate this policy. And then I have, then I have the
Not
definition
permitted.
of what's
Oh,
not
okay.
permitted. So I just kind of
I got you.
reframed it
Okay.
a little, so,
Okay, yep.
you know.
Not permitted. Social
I
media.
think it's clear now, the way it reads.
Yeah. I don't know what true threats are, but
I mean, it's a
I know.
legal term of art, but.
yeah, I
don't
know,
if it's,
nobody
you
knows
know,
what it is. They have any illegal activity.
Yeah, I mean, we changed it to
Postings
that violate New York State or federal
What about local?
that, you know, it's when you're dealing with the internet and it's not clear what local law even applies because, you know.
I
because, like,
have no idea what it means.
Right, so I don't, because it's very unclear when you're talking about people posting on a webpage, what local law can even apply to that. You know, if somebody,
Ordinance, yeah.
you know, it's very questionable whether, for example, Guilderland could pass a law that would, you know, regulate people's social media use in the town of Guilderland, and that would even be legal under, you know, like, so I just don't even get into it. If it violates our policy, if it violates New York State or federal law, then we can pull it down.
And duplicate, just a duplicate
Post
posting.
for the spammers.
Yeah, like spam, you know.
We
and-
talked about that
Yeah,
last time.
and the bigger thing is like links, because usually when people are spamming, they're gonna post links to a business or some sort of commercial site that they're trying to get things, and they'll post a bunch of things. So if there's multiple links that are going to the same website, we can delete them and take them down.
Posting made through a false, I'm just looking at these, falsification of identity.
We can't take that down because people don't have their name anyway, true name on Facebook.
I'm just going through this list and
Yeah,
advertising of commercial messages. Plagiarizing, libelous, defamatory. Yes, it's a slippery slope because I think if you say not protected by the First Amendment, then the question of personal attacks, harassment, or threatening language is subsumed with that kind of reference.
Well, so, I mean, the thing is, the problem is personal attacks is overly broad because that can be interpreted to include.
No, I'm
things,
saying,
you know.
by saying.
Right.
By linking it to the First
Yeah.
Amendment, we try to kind of create an umbrella here, but
No, I think he's just, for illustration purposes, he's expanding what is not protected under the First Amendment.
Right, so
Copyright
I'm trying to
violations.
list out the things
Yeah.
that are the kind of the, the canonical,
Touchstones,
you know,
yeah.
like exceptions to the covers of the First
station for
Amendment.
donations, membership, or services requiring or free, a fee for any non-library purpose. I don't know what we do.
We took it out, right?
Yeah. Because some of them, like, for example, like, we may be able to, we probably could, if we wanted to craft something that we probably could do something that was considered constitutional and not viewpoint based, that solely was for commercial, like things like promoting, advertising commercial business. Because commercial speech is, has a different status, it's lesser protection, it's still protected, but lesser protection. And if we kind of carve that out, but, that would leave stuff like, for example, the library posts something up there saying, hey, the farmer's market is starting, come visit the farmer's market. And one of the vendors says, oh, I'm gonna be there this week, come to my booth and get
They do say
whatever,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Well, that's commercial speech, that's commercial advertising, that's right? Like if it's a vendor at the farmer's market,
Yeah.
unless we're gonna commit to deleting all of those every time a vendor posts, then we can't make exceptions.
Comments pertaining to organized political or partisan activities. That would fall under free speech.
Yeah, I think I think it'd be really hard to
Yeah.
craft anything that was,
I'm just
Yeah.
going through these.
yep.
Material that is deemed off-topic, inappropriate, or offensive information is private or personal, even if posted by the person to which it pertains or which contains privileged, proprietary, confidential information, any person or entity. That's a little tough.
I mean, as written, it's definitely overly broad.
Yeah.
But, could you craft something that was narrower?
Yeah.
Possibly, yes, but, it's kind of, the problem is anytime you start wading in and, it's, do we even want to get in the business of policing what people are putting on this? It's better to, leave it alone except for things that are extreme, which is kind of called out by our categories, there. And that gets like the thing, something really extreme, if somebody's posting a death threat, we can pull that down. If somebody's, things that are really, but for the most part, we don't want to be in the business of policing what
No,
people
I
are doing.
agree.
Yeah,
Privileged, proprietary, or confidential information about any person or entity. Well, some of this might fall into libelous or slander, right?
maybe,
I'm trying to.
yeah. I mean, and a lot of stuff might fall under, also just being off topic, being irrelevant or unrelated to library service.
Well, what if he said including but not limited to copyright violations of saying, give us a little wiggle room? Or we had some discretionary piece by the library, but that's also dangerous. Some by the
Yeah.
discretion. I don't think that
We
is-
could, I mean, it does say including, which, it doesn't say but not limited, but including, is not necessarily exclusive language, doesn't but I don't know. I mean, I could be persuaded either way on that, I guess.
Persons contained material is not protected by the First Amendment. Vicinity, cite into imminent lawlessness. And true threats. Would it be harmful if we added but not limited to, so we give ourselves a little wiggle room to give discretion?
I mean, I guess I'm okay with that.
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
But not limited to copy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a little discretion here when something is totally outrageous and we want to err on the side of protection.
But again, the point is,
yeah.
I think the point that Mike is trying to make is we don't want to do too much discretion because then one person is going to say, you took that down because you thought it was against policy.
No, I don't disagree, but
You
I'm
didn't
just,
take mine down or whatever. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So you don't want to do that because you might discriminate against people. So
but if we
It's-
said not limited to, that gives us a little bit more coverage.
like, you could think of things that are not, kind of don't fit neatly in
Right.
these categories, you know?
I think that's fine, and it's not too vague to where we can use discretion all the time.
Do we still, you want
To say
to include,
included
but not limited to? Okay.
Yeah, I think that gives us enough of coverage. If
Because
something's
we're still
truly,
saying.
truly outrageous,
They're unprotected, so it's still gotta be like unprotected.
yes, I would do that just to give,
That's
you
fine.
know, a little,
Don't make that change.
it violates New York State. They have local law, but I'm fine with what you wrote here. Duplicate postings of hyperlinks from the same individual, meaning repetitive.
Scammers or,
And they have spam here, but we need to put that in?
well, that. sort
That-
of
that covers
refers
that,
to
right?
it,
Yeah, I think spam would fall either under it being unrelated to the library, you know, it's either completely, it's just a random thing somebody's posting that has nothing to do with the library, or somebody's posting the same thing repeatedly,
Yeah.
and then we can get rid of that. Is it perfect? I mean, I'm sure there's something
It
somebody
can't
can
be
post that,
perfect.
you know, we're gonna be like,
They're
oh,
smart.
but, you know,
Obscene matter or hate speech? Well,
You-
that's in the eyes, yeah.
yeah.
Discrimination. Language representing discrimination basis of race, creed, color, religion, national origin, ancestry, gender identity, sexual orientation, sex, including pregnancy, age, or disability. You took that out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. What if somebody just, I don't have a problem with this, but what if somebody posted something that used the N-word or clearly racist or anti-Semitic statements? What do we do with that?
you know, I think,
That's not necessarily libelous, but
Well, is it related to a library program event or material?
if it's unrelated to library events or programs or materials, we could
Right.
get rid of it. If somebody's posting it, and it's, you know, somehow, you know, they're reacting, you know, to something that's been posted and saying something, you know, unfortunately, it's First Amendment protected speech. I think, you know,
It reflects on them.
it
You know,
reflects on them. What, you know, what the library can do is post a, you know, response in the comments saying,
Right.
you know, although this is protected speech, it's, you know, this goes against, you know, this is, you know, the library, feels that it's, you know.
Encourages civil debate and stuff.
Yeah, we encourage civil debate and we strongly condemn the, you know, thing that's
Right.
expressed, you know, we strongly condemn the, you know, sentiments expressed in this post. You know, it is, although this is protected speech, we, you know, encourage people to be civil.
but
and not-
discrimination based on race, creed, colors, you know, that is protected.
Yes,
Those are protected
those
things.
it is protected.
Right. I agree with what you said, though, that the library could respond in that
Yeah.
manner. Well, we're not the morality group.
No, that's true. Postings that are not relevant to, I mean, you can have a library program that discusses, I don't know,
Right, so.
what happened in Tulsa. It's,
You
know, when somebody writes back, you know, to help with these ends, you know.
In a way that's, you know, that is related to, you
Yeah.
know, some program.
Well,
or
that would be
something.
related to a
Right,
program.
that's what I'm saying. So it's not, you
But
know.
we wouldn't take
There,
it
there
down.
might be circumstances where we couldn't remove that, but that's unfortunate.
That's the way it
That's
is.
the breaks. That's what, you know, that comes with allowing people free speech is that sometimes.
But it
people will
doesn't
use that.
prevent us from retorting or putting back
No.
on posts that we don't encourage this.
Exactly.
Thing, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with this. I think you've done as good a job as you could do without,
Well, we worked on it last time. It
Yeah.
reflects accurately what we discussed.
I mean, the rest of the board may have other comments about it.
Yeah, that's,
But my question was, do we give them the clean version or do we give them both?
We give them both.
I'm fine either way.
I clean one.
Only the clean one?
I,
I don't know. I think people have a right to see the changes.
Yeah, I agree with that they have a right, but if you give them both, then you get into this whole thing about rehashing the whole thing, and that's the whole
Okay, but
point.
that's
of
what
giving
boards are
it
for.
to-
I mean, we're here to go through this and people want to see where we were and where we're coming from. I think you give them both and explain the changes. If they have different ideas about what should and should not be included, we can defend this.
Yeah,
If I'm
And
on the board,
the
I'm going
other
to say,
thing
what did
is-
this look like
right,
before?
right.
Right now, we're 2 weeks ahead of our board meeting right now. And so if we're ready to do this, I can circulate it way in advance and say, if people have questions about these changes, I'm happy to discuss beforehand, just so it doesn't bog down the whole board meeting. Just
And would
give
you
one
want to see
opportunity.
what came before? I would.
I would, yeah, I mean, I always like to see
Yeah,
like
that's
that kind
fine.
of a markup.
Yeah,
but-
do, marked and clean,
Yeah.
and people can compare, and then they have their say at the board. And we can defend this.
Yeah.
We just did,
Or it doesn't pass.
or it doesn't pass.
If it doesn't pass and gets kicked another month.
Well, we get sued,
Like, all right, so,
Get that, anything going on with the laws. Good job, Mike, thank you.
so aside from making that one change to say including but not limited to,
Yeah, I think that.
aside from that, is there anything else anybody thinks needs changed? Or we're okay with
Thank
that?
you.
All right,
Did
want to
everything very well.
take a vote that will propose this to the board with that
Aye.
one change?
Aye.
Okay.
We're supposed to actually do motions and seconds.
No,
I'm just saying, I
What'd you
took
say, Erin?
ACLE or whatever it's called, the Board of Trustees, continuing education, whatever, and the person said.
Should I go back and
not
fix
only
it?
do we have to do minutes for the committees, but we also have to do actual motions. Remember, we had this.
all right, all right,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah,
We're gonna do it right. I'm making a motion that we recommend the repeal of the review of public services policy.
Okay, second that.
And
Okay.
replace it with the current.
Well, for the first
For the
one.
first
we can do
one.
a motion,
Okay.
so-
Any further discussion on that first one?
Nope.
No? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous at 6:06. Now, I make a motion that we recommend this
Social media.
revised social media policy with the one change of adding the language,
Well, no.
but not
no.
limited,
You
including.
have to make it, that change, just, we'll see that change, but we'll give them this with that included.
Yes. So we're gonna recommend to the full board this amended policy as discussed.
To replace.
Okay, so I make that motion.
I second.
I,
Okay.
well, in favor.
Okay, yeah, all in favor? Okay.
I just had to do my bar registration as retired.
No, I can't do that in New Jersey, so they just kicked me off because I didn't want to continue, right? And I called them and I said, is there a way to put this on hold, minimum, whatever, I don't practice in Jersey anymore. And they're like, no, you would just stop,
They just want their fees.
stop
Well, I want the
registration.
fee.
And I'm like, so I stopped doing it. Now I just got a thing in the mail saying that I'm ineligible to practice in New Jersey because they stopped doing the CLE thing. I'm like, it's because it's the only option you give me to stop.
The problem is if you have to get admitted to some court somewhere, you're gonna have to report that as not being in good standing.
That's right.
Jersey, so
So am I not in good standing or is that refer
Yeah.
only
As a
to
clerk, you should.
12 I
think
from
about that.
practice because of
I thought
disciplinary?
about becoming a member of the bar emeritus, which meant I had to do something like pro bono work as
I don't know.
I
Like
do the
in
pro
Massachusetts,
bono.
I was licensed and there's a button that says
Yeah,
no longer practicing. So, you could just put me on pause.
that's inappropriate because you are practicing.
Not in Massachusetts, I'm not.
No, but you still could.
Yeah,
Does it say practicing in
In
Massachusetts?
Massachusetts.
so then I don't have to pay
Yeah.
the dues and all that. It's just,
Oh, you can do that in Massachusetts?
yeah.
Oh, because I still pay the dues in
I
Massachusetts, but
think maybe I paid already, but it was like a retired or like, I don't remember the language exactly.
every once in a while, the Massachusetts one has come in handy for me. There's somebody in my firm needs something done in Massachusetts, so I keep the Massachusetts. one for that.
3 days of bar just to be licensed in Jersey too, and
You're licensed with Massachusetts, Jersey, and New York.
yeah. So I don't know, I'll think
They
about
don't even
it.
have multi-state rights.
I just got the thing in the mail, I'll think about if I want to reinstate. That's a lot of money, I
Well,
think.
you
some
can't
people-
register, you have to wait for 30 days after your birthday. My birthday was election day, so,
Happy birthday.
really.
I know.
All right,
Anyway, enough of that.
let's move to the public
Public comment,
comment.
okay.
And again, there's a marked up version, which has one comment by me in the margin that I'll discuss in a second. And there's a clean version if you want to see what it looks like,
Okay.
after that. So just,
I have one problem.
sure.
Speakers are encouraged but not required to share their name. I checked around today, the town board, the school board, the Albany County Board, any public body, if you go to testify down in Albany to the legislature, your name and address. There's I don't know why
I mean,
we would be the
I was the one
exception.
who argued against the name, so I can
Where is
defend.
that?
well, I mean, that's not a change from our original, I mean, that's how our policy has been,
I
that's not a
think, but
change.
I don't understand why we are the outliers.
But it's not required, right? It just says encouraged.
Right, well, Barb wants it to be required, is what she's saying.
Yeah,
But
and
why?
I had argued no.
Because if you don't want an anonymous person that you have no idea where they come from or if they even, have a vested interest in this coming before a board. Why do all these other boards in New York State?
Yeah, but if they say John Smith and they give you an address, will you know if they have a vested interest or not?
Well,
I guess by
I
the
suppose
address.
you wouldn't if somebody wanted to be
If
that.
they have a valid comment, I don't care who they are, one. And two, the reason I had a problem with it is because of domestic violence issues. If somebody wants to make a comment and they have to give their name and address, I'm concerned about someone who has a protective order against an abusive spouse and suddenly becomes public comment as to who they are and where they live. That was my
Even if
reason.
they gave their name without the address.
But I think, I mean, it's a theoretical problem that hasn't actually happened. Even when we had all the uproar about the cafe and we had a special public comment thing and all the people came in, tons of people came in, they all gave their comments and everybody was civil and everybody gave things and, it's like, did everybody give their name when they got up and talked there? I mean, a bunch of people did, but probably not everybody. And it didn't seem like a problem. So I just feel like it's making a requirement that
I don't think people should have to
really
do it.
need,
Most
you know.
people do.
Could stop someone, like you're saying, from actually
I just-
commenting.
if it turned into a problem and we started seeing people showing up and, anonymous people that nobody knows who they are and they're coming in just wasting our
It's not gonna
time with,
happen.
abusive comments that don't help anything,
That's not
then we
gonna
can think
happen.
about it. But I don't expect it to happen and I haven't seen it happen.
But
So
it
it
says
seems like it's,
residency is not required. So I mean,
That's by state law.
yeah.
so then they could be from anywhere and you don't know if they have a vested interest. I don't know.
I guess then you'd know if they gave the name and address, and then oh, this is somebody who doesn't even live in our town or whatever, you can say, well, I'll listen to you for 3 minutes, but then I'll ignore it because I don't care, because you don't pay taxes here or whatever. But I mean, but frankly, it just seems like it's not a real problem we've had. We don't have, it's, most times we don't even get any public comments.
One guy who came and commented without giving his name. I think, remember he commented here and we're like, what's your name? And he said, I already put it on there. And he refused to verbalize it. Do you remember that? I think it was during the cafe thing. He came, it was the guy who did an op-ed for the Altamont Enterprise.
Oh, right.
But we didn't know that when he came in because he refused to tell us his name out loud, although he had already signed in. So,
Again, not, I don't know.
So what are the changes? 3 minutes?
Okay, so the first one, I don't know if
Your
this is a
comment?
good idea or not. So I added, this part is not changed. We say we're gonna give 30 minutes at the beginning of a meeting and 15 minutes at the end. And then it says individual participation is limited to 3 minutes. I added this because in practice, when we don't have many people giving comments, like that guy, what's his name, Ray, the guy who's come in a couple times, we've let him go on longer than 3 minutes when he has his list of grievances that he wants to get out or whatever. And I don't really have a problem with that if it's not holding up other people and if it's not
Right.
like, excessively long, like delaying our time. And again, at the big public meeting we did for public comment meeting for the cafe, everybody talked and had the 3-minute thing, but then when it was done, we said, does anybody else have any comments? Nobody else had any. And somebody said, oh, can I come up and talk
But This is a
again?
monthly board meeting.
I
That
know,
was
I
a
know.
special meeting.
I know,
Yeah.
but we let somebody come up and talk again because
Right.
nobody else was waiting and we were there for it and whatever. And so I think, so I was just saying, look, if in practice, when there's nobody waiting to talk and there's extra time, we let people go on, maybe we should reflect that in our actual policy and say that we'll have the discretion to let people go on.
I totally.
Is it a good idea? Is it
agree.
not? I don't know. I just wanted to reflect what we actually do.
Yeah.
So that's why I put that in there. So if people are okay with that, we
Yeah.
can leave that in.
I'm okay with that.
I added something, I don't know if we need this as well, but I guess it's the 4th bullet point. It says, speakers may comment on only library-related subjects. The board does not allow discussion of matters relevant to library business. I added this, if a special meeting is held for public comment outside of the monthly board meetings, comments may be limited to the advertised subject of the special meeting.
Yeah.
Which is just like, if we have a special comment section about the cafe, and you want to come in and, complain about reading groups or meeting rooms, or wherever, that's not the time for it. This is special for the cafe. It's usually probably not going to be an issue, but I just wanted to make it
You said
explicit.
it's not protected by the First Amendment, including but not limited to.
Um,
Be
I
consistent.
can, yeah, we can add that same, but not limited to. So that's the same,
Same
I
thing.
borrowed that, yeah.
Personal-
You know, in practice, I wonder, I know this is like totally hypothetical, how would you stop someone from doing that?
From doing what?
Any of that came in and said some libelous comments, defamatory stuff.
I mean,
said-
you can cut them off. You can tell them to leave. And if they refuse to leave, you can say, I'll have you trespassed. I mean, that's all you can, really do. I mean, basically,
Shut the mic off, beat them up.
but, I mean, if this was like a town, meeting or whatever, there might be a police officer standing there who you could tell them to escort them out of the building and tell them not. But, for a library meeting, we're just gonna have to say, I'm gonna have to ask you to stop, please stop talking, whatever, and, you do what you can do, but I mean,
The worst that could happen is you really have a belligerent person who may be drunk or crazy or whatever, and then you have to call the police if they won't step down.
but, so, and then, that one is modified kind of parallel to what we did with the
okay.
social media. The last one there, it says public comments will be included in the minutes. I don't think in practice, we've always included like verbatim public comments in our minutes.
Or in summary.
So I said we included in whole or in summary.
Well,
in
we
the
have,
minutes.
because they've been read in.
In the minutes, though, usually
Oh, the
they're like
minutes, oh.
attached or something.
Yes. I don't know.
I don't think we always have.
I'm not
Like, I
sure.
just wanted, like, are we required? I don't think we're required to. The minutes are just a summary. Like, it doesn't have to be a transcript.
No, it doesn't have to be a transcript,
So-
but usually we say see attached or whatever.
Yeah, but we like when that guy, Ray, who's come a couple of times and given his whole thing, we haven't included like a verbatim, like
No,
transcript of
summarize
his
it.
comments and stuff.
Just release
Just give some.
I think it's fine the way it is.
So that's why I put that,
Or in summary.
yeah, in whole or in
Yeah,
summary.
I think it's fine. And this is new stuff?
And then the bottom two are new. The board response, the first sentence was just to kind of put that in there and let people know, let the public know that that's our,
It's the
it's our
same thing,
practice.
is it not?
What?
It's the same thing.
Oh, that's just.
Oh,
add-
this is
The
the
clean
clean
version,
version.
sorry.
But yeah, but the first, we could leave it just at that first sentence. Just say, as a matter of practice, the board does not immediately respond to public comments. I added the rest to kind of give an explanation a little bit so that like people, it's not, just say, well, we may we take a variety of,
I would say, I just had a question here. I do
Sure.
agree that this should be included. It's a great, and I agree that it should be included with the explanation.
Okay.
Delegation of a question or issue to a library staff or director, because he's not mentioned here at all, and I would think,
yeah, okay.
Where are you?
so.
What if instead of staff, we said personnel? Does that include the director?
Can you tell me where you are?
So, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down on the board response,
Okay,
because it says, if the board determines that a public comment requires follow-up, it may take action in a variety of ways, including but not limited to. And then the 4th line down says delegation of a question or issue to the library staff. I don't know if that includes the director, because
Or you could just say it to the library director.
that's what I said. Do we include director and staff, or do we just say, like Mike said, personnel?
Director.
Would personnel include the directors? or-
Well, it would, but it doesn't give you sort of like a direct line of communication, something that.
Well, this is
But it's just
This is
for
just
us
saying,
if we're
we can
gonna-
do,
Yeah.
we can do whatever we want with it. If somebody gives a public comment, we may or may not, do something with it. If we think it merits a follow-up, then we might do any of a variety of things, including, handing it, like somebody asks a question about something about the library, we might just say, Pete, can you answer this question for this person or find out an answer and come back to us or whatever? Or we might ask, Jackie, or we might ask somebody else to do it, or whatever. So I just want to leave it broad, like we might ask library personnel to follow up on it.
delegation of a question or issue to,
So maybe change
say,
it to staff.
if you say
personnel
administrative staff, that includes everybody, doesn't it? The director,
To library administration.
yeah, but it would be up to Pete to delegate it. I
I would,
think.
yeah, why would you not just put library director in there? He can,
I guess you could
He
just
can
say
do what he wants with it.
director, and he can further delegate.
Okay.
Why don't we just say to the library
Okay, to the
director?
library director. I'm fine with
Yeah.
that. And again, this is just, including but not limited to, like, just saying, I'm just trying to make it clear that like, look, you make your public comment and then we will do with it, as we deem fit, but not immediately.
Individual topic, research by individual board member.
Well, sometimes the president says, I'll look into that. But certainly, I think,
I don't.
This was just to give kind of representative examples of the ways it might be handled, it's just trying to make people understand that, if I ask some question in public comment, they're not immediately gonna answer me and tell me the answer to that, or get into a back and forth about like what it is, or whatever.
that certainly was important for some people to know a while ago.
Yeah,
Not that we could have just been like, hey, read this, stop.
no,
talking.
we should have said something before that all started, like we did at the big meeting, before everything went,
Woulda, shoulda.
involved, but
Yeah.
too late now, so.
Okay, but if the board determines that a public comment requires follow-up, it, meaning the board,
Yeah.
may take action in a variety of ways as it deems appropriate, including but not limited to.
Yep.
This is the board, individual follow-up with a commentator.
Does that mean like real time?
No, it says it does not immediately respond. We don't respond to
But
comments.
here's what often happens with other boards. You have a person coming before the board, and obviously you can't have the dialogue at that point. But then when it comes to the new business section, the meeting, some board member could say, well, Johnny brought up this thing, and I know a little bit about that.
Right.
And, just shares that or challenges it. Now, what we found on the school board, sometimes people come up and it's a lie, what they're saying, and,
So all I'm saying is all of these actions, it refers back to the board.
Mhm.
If the board determines that a public comment requires follow-up, it may take action in a variety of ways as it deems appropriate, including but not limited to individual follow-up with the commentator,
So you're just saying the individual part, like,
meaning the board has to make these decisions.
yeah, I mean, that could be,
Because we
Like
say
a-
it may take action, meaning the board. So,
Well, I think individual refers to the commenter, right?
I don't know, it wasn't well phrased, I think. I don't know exactly what I meant now that I read back through it.
the board does not immediately respond to public comment. The board determines that a public comment requires follow-up. Action may be taken in a variety of days.
What if we change it to like direct communication with the commenter
Yeah,
and just,
but we should specify it at a later time, like somehow.
we already, we already said it does not immediately.
But
Do you have a better way to phrase it then,
Trying to think.
instead of direct communication with the commenter? I mean, we could even strike that one out. I mean, these are just kind of examples.
Yeah.
So we could just but I mean, sometimes that's gonna be the thing, like like the president or one of the board members will call the person back
I don't think
or,
that's ever happened.
I feel like,
Going on.
yeah, should we just delete that one?
I mean, I think it's a great
Because it's
idea,
less common.
but I don't know that anyone's done it. or
I feel like that's come up where we've said, maybe it's been from a emailed comment or something like that, where somebody said, oh, somebody should write back to them and tell them this or that or whatever. I don't know if they, no?
One of the biggest complaints that public often has with boards is that, okay, we come and we ask a question, and we never hear from anybody.
Right.
And so we should make it a point in this
Yeah.
policy that somebody is gonna respond to their question. Now, if they're just making general comments about things that happen, that doesn't require, but if
We
they,
should try and,
but if they say,
Get back to them. Not to put too much pressure on Corey, but really she should be the voice
Right.
for us.
or,
well, the direct,
or just task some board member to get back to them depending on what it is, because it might be somebody who's been dealing with that particular issue or knows something about it, they could call, get back to someone. You're right, though. I mean, if somebody's asking like a legitimate question, or, or bringing up something that we have an answer to, or, I mean, sometimes, it might be people are bringing up things, they have a legitimate issue, but it's not something we can necessarily get back to them about. Somebody might come and say, when are you gonna, bring back book sales? I really want the book sales. And it's something we're working on and talking about and discussing, but who knows when that's gonna happen, or, it's something that's just a work in progress that's, so does it make sense to get back to that person and just say,
No,
well,
because if they had paid attention to the meetings, then they would know that.
right, so I think it's at our discretion, at the board's discretion as it sees fit. It may do any of a variety of things.
Yeah, but this requires the board to take these actions. That's my point. It may take the action a variety of ways it deems.
So how about just direct communication with the commenter and just leave it
Say
at
a
that?
variety of actions may be taken. A response will be made to the individual commentator. It could be delegated to a committee. It's going to be put on
Okay,
the
okay,
agenda.
so
So I want to take the pressure off the board.
what about this?
It's a passive way of saying a response could be made.
A variety of actions.
What
may be
about
taken.
this? What if we said if the board determines, well,
If the board determines that a public comment requires follow-up, a variety of actions may be taken as it deemed, as deemed appropriate, not it.
all right. But it's still saying, okay, yeah, a
You see
variety,
what I'm getting at?
okay. So passive voice.
Yeah, exactly.
If the board determines that a public comment requires follow-up, action may be taken
As deemed
in
appropriate.
a variety of ways as deemed appropriate, including but not limited to. Direct communication with the commenter,
Right.
research and investigation.
Yeah, it doesn't say by whom.
Delegation of
Yeah,
question.
that's fine, direct communication.
All right.
The rest of it is
Are
fine,
we okay with the rest of that then?
except
But
the
also
library
direct communication.
director, not library staff.
Yeah.
Right, delegation of a question or
Yeah.
issue to the library
Yes, so
director.
this doesn't say who's going to do it, because I don't want the board to have to do all this crap.
It just says it may do
It's
this.
good, yeah.
The board may do this as it deems appropriate. And it's only if the board determines it requires follow-up, and it may determine it doesn't, may not determine it requires follow-up. Right.
But at the in practice though, we should address the comments that day, amongst ourselves, at least to know if we are or not taking action on
Well,
that comment.
That a good,
Right?
a good thing to do, and I don't know how to formalize this, would be for somebody, whether it's the board president or, it's collectively, we'd have to do it on the record and on the video and stuff, which is not really a great, we don't want to do that.
Right.
So ideally, the director could just, every comment either made in person or made through email or through whatever, each comment just kind of go down the list and says, does this require a response? 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever comments we get, does it require a response? If so, who's going to do it? And either do it themselves, pass it to Pete, throw it to a committee, do whatever, just do
We
something.
could say to
Well, how
Pete,
about when we
But we
put
can,
this out to the board, we say that?
yeah, well, this came up a year or two ago. It was discussed but I don't know if that was when Kathy was still president. I don't know if anything ever
Because I think
happened.
we had a problem with not taking action on anything that was being brought up.
Yeah,
Maybe some stuff did not require action, but at least, we should all be in agreement.
Yeah. All right. Are we on board with those edits to that
yeah, we're
paragraph?
taking out it though, to
Right.
refer back.
We
to the-
rewrote it.
Yeah.
It's just gonna say, if here's what I've got. If the
Go
board
ahead.
determines that a public comment requires follow-up, action may be taken in a variety of ways as deemed appropriate, including but not limited to. And then the first one is direct communication with the commenter, research and investigation by individual board members, delegation of a question or issue to the library director, delegation of a question or issue to a board committee, or placement on future board.
That's right, and it says, we're not saying who's doing it,
So
so.
again,
I like that, Marshall.
no, it's just,
The passive voice, nobody takes responsibility, nobody takes the blame.
The responsibility will be, if it's a valid comment,
Yeah,
the person will leave the room and will say, that makes sense. So is this something that you want to respond to, Barbara? Or is this something for Pete? Or should we research it? Or is this a policy issue that should go to the policy committee? Or should we put it on the agenda? But that means that it'll be a discussion. Most of the time, it'll be a Pete thing,
right.
right?
Definitely.
Well, I think when I first started, I believed that the director, the president and the vice president used to talk before the agenda was made. I think that's how it was done. And then people actually discussed what was gonna be on the agenda.
Well, Corey says is, I think Corey has always said, is there anything you want on the agenda? Am I incorrect about that? I thought,
But this is something you wouldn't want to wait until the agenda for the next meeting. You want this to happen like shortly after.
if it's a
like-
valid,
like-
you know, once we go into a regular board meeting, we can discuss it,
Okay.
right?
All right. Disclaimer, any comments on that?
Responsible liable for the speech of third parties.
The,
during
the
comment.
the first sentence of it is basically the same as the disclaimer that's in the social media policy. Just, you know, it's just the same thing brought over from the social media policy. And then, but that last one was specific to the, you know, the fact that we're saying we're not going to immediately respond. And I just want to say, look, the fact that we're not responding doesn't mean we agree with it or are expressing any opinion on whatever people say.
Yeah, I
Um,
like that.
Wouldn't you want to say to not to immediately respond to specific comments? Because you do want to have that ebb and flow between the public and yourself.
Yeah, but.
Well, not to
well,
respond either way.
Like some comments we might not give any response to, you
Right.
know, potentially. So just, I just want to, you know, just say the board's, you know,
The third parties mean the commentator or anybody who listens to the commentator. That's what a third party means, right?
just anyone other than the library.
than the
or
board.
The board, yeah.
Or its staff. Such claims are not reflected.
And that first sentence language is.
We have to say do not necessarily.
It's just so we
No, don't.
reflect,
I'm
like,
just-
we're-
No,
we're
no,
just-
no, no, no,
it's
no, no,
simple
no.
enough.
That's just my editorial comment.
Yeah.
The board's decision not to respond to specific comments. It's not our decision, well, we say we don't, right?
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
You know,
Or we say
can't-
we're not commenting,
We
right?
say we're not, you know, we're not supposed to.
Board does not.
It's best practice is not to, but if some board member wants to pipe up, I mean, I don't know if we can stop them.
Well,
But
we're not, well, that's what happened with Vanessa, if you remember.
it wasn't totally her fault, but,
Yeah.
because she wasn't the only one who, you know, responded back to people when they were,
Yeah, no, true.
like, the back and forth was already going, and then,
No, I think Vanessa got upset that the back and forth was happening. 'Cause what
Exactly.
she was trying to stop is the back and
Yeah.
forth.
He was the one who
She
said,
sounded off
she
like.
said, we're not supposed to do comment, and then this other woman said, this woman,
I don't remember what was,
Yeah,
it's all
it
on
wasn't
video,
pleasant,
so I mean, it's all on video, so we can go back and see it. I don't remember the details.
So tense. That one was such a tense.
the board's decision, I mean, it's the board's policy.
Well,
We say that.
No, but the decision is discretionary per the paragraph above. The
No,
decision, yeah, it's discretion.
the
if
board's
deemed
decision, well,
appropriate.
her comment was, the board's decision not to respond to specific comments should not be construed as agreement. Well, the board's decision not to respond to specific comments is not true because we are going to respond to them, not then and there.
yeah, but if we don't,
That's why I said you could put immediately.
No, but we're not, because we might deem that it's not necessary for us to respond at all. If someone brings up again the book sales, I don't, in my opinion, I would not deem it appropriate to respond because we've
Look, my point is,
discussed it.
But you
if
might.
at any point, if we respond to somebody's comment, right, whether it's because a board member brings it up in new business or whether somebody contacts somebody to answer the question they had, or anyway, if somebody responds, then we are necessarily expressing some kind of opinion or whatever on what they said, right?
But if we don't.
And sometimes comments are read, like we read a comment from a comment card and somebody says, I came to this program, it was fantastic, thanks. And one of the board members are like, oh, that's so nice. Well, then they're commenting on it and they're expressing agreement or expressing approval, right? So sometimes people do comment. And if we comment, we're commenting. But if we don't comment, we want to say, look, our decision not to comment should not be construed immediately because that's what we're trying not to do that. When we're, you know, like,
No,
that's, you
Getting
know.
back to the book sales, or if somebody brings that up again, under new business, you know, somebody can say, well, you know, we are trying to do this. It's been discussed a number of times, and we'll keep you in the loop.
So I think if you're gonna do that, maybe we should have that policy talk to with the president and say every time during meetings, during new business, we are going to address the comments that were made, whether at the beginning or at the end of the meeting, even if it's just to say, we don't know right now, we're gonna look into it, or we've already addressed this, you know what I mean?
The reason and here's the reason I said, because every once in a while, you might get a comment that is kind of, you know, to be pejorative, like a crank comment, right? A comment from somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, and they complain about something, and they're just off base because they don't understand what's going on or whatever, and they say something, right? And sometimes the best thing to do with those is just let them go. You just like,
Why don't we
listen to it,
say-
we let them talk for the 3 minutes, and then thanks for your comment, and then move on or whatever. And if you have to bring it up and be like, oh, well, this person made this, you know, complaint, they don't need a response because they're full of whatever, like, you know, like it's better not to have to do that not to commit yourself on the record every time to say which of these comments are going to
Why
respond.
don't we do this? Why don't?
I
we
would
say-
rather just leave it and just like, as a matter of good practice, the president or someone the president delegates it to should determine whether each comment needs a response.
Yeah, why don't we say this?
But it doesn't need to happen on the record at a meeting where we have to evaluate the
Right.
legitimacy of every single comment, like on the record.
Agreed.
That's not.
Why don't we say on the board response, as a matter of policy, the board does not immediately respond to and leave it. And then when you get down to the disclaimer part, take out the last sentence.
It's not policy
The reason I don't like to say
Well,
that
it is
is,
policy.
but if we say
It's
that's,
our policy.
it is a matter of best practices.
Yeah,
If we say it's a matter of policy, then
yeah.
that means every time a comment card comes in and somebody's like, oh, I went to this program, it was fantastic, I'm so glad. And somebody's like, oh, great, I'm glad. They're violating our policy. All right?
Okay,
Like
so then-
literally,
so
like,
that-
and I'm not putting in a position where board members are violating our policy every time
Okay, then-
somebody, I prefer people didn't and just kind of keep it to yourself and let the.
It's nice to recognize that
I
it's
understand that.
human.
But, so that's why I said practice.
So then leave practice and take out the last
I mean,
sentence
most of the time, I think that
disclaimer.
I'm that person.
So you.
You're like, the program
don't-
was
You don't
amazing.
want,
Leave practice.
you'd rather not have the last.
The last sentence out. We say it's our practice, we're not commenting. Immediately commenting, right?
So get rid of the last sentence of the disclaimer.
Board's decision not to respond does not mean blah, blah, blah.
Why? But why are you taking it out?
Why do we need it? We say we don't
Because-
comment. We don't.
No, but you're just emphasizing that please don't think that we are either agreeing, disagreeing, or shunning you because we're not responding to you. You're just emphasizing that point. And certainly if someone says this library sucks and we say nothing, it's not,
We have to
it
say
should not be
nothing.
construed as an agreement with the commentary.
Obviously, we're not going to agree with it.
Well, but
But
I don't
other
know.
things might be like criticisms of the way something was done. Somebody criticizes the way a particular program was done or criticizes something that, you know, a previous employee did or whatever. And some of those things we may even agree with, but some we may not. And we don't want people to say, you know, oh, well, you know, you didn't say anything about that. You know, just kind of, they make that, you let that go. And we're, you know, like, we're not expressing any opinion. We're not, you know, ideally, we never express any opinion when somebody makes a public comment. We just let the
Right.
comment come in, we listen to it, and then we can decide later if it needs any response.
I don't think,
Ideally.
I still don't think you
But-
need the last sentence, but I'm, you know,
should we vote on it? I vote we leave it in.
I'm not, you know, stuck on it. I don't think we need it. And you can leave practice.
I,
You know, it's fine with me.
I prefer to keep it, but, you know, whatever. It's not something I room. So
I don't mind being a minority.
do you have an opinion, Barb?
I don't have any problem, we'll leave it in.
All right, so 3-1, you win.
Okay.
Sorry, March.
All right.
Democracy wins.
All right. Aside from the handful of edits that we discussed, those changes to the board response paragraph, the addition of the but not limited to language in the First Amendment part, does anybody have anything else they want to address before we vote on this?
Okay, the only thing is, if you want to keep the last sentences, you want to say the board's practice not to respond. Since we say it's a board practice not to respond, it doesn't matter. You can leave it just as it is. I think we should move on. I'm nitpicking. Sorry.
I don't know, I could,
It's fine, honestly.
The reason I don't want to say it in practice is because practice on the paragraph above refers to something else. I think in the last paragraph, it says, the board's decision not to respond. That doesn't necessarily mean immediately. It means at all. So I think that is a decision that's made by the board, whether or not to respond at all to that comment.
That's fine. It's valid.
So that's just.
That's
why I'm
fine.
saying
That's fine.
that.
I think we voted. I think
right.
we've beaten this to death.
all right, I will make the motion.
Before we make the motion, are we changing that board response to as a matter of practice or as a matter of policy?
Practice.
Practice,
I was voted to.
Practice?
yeah.
Because we don't want a board member to violate our policy by saying, that's great. So I think we're being safe. We're being protected.
All right, I'm making the motion to recommend this policy revision as we just discussed. Any second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, okay.
Except for one line.
What? You,
I said in favor except for one
Wait,
line.
you want policy there? So if we're
No,
not,
no.
I'm voting with the.
I just don't like us being outliers on not having the speakers.
oh, that,
Oh, okay.
Oh, the name thing?
Yeah.
I mean, that, you're voted down.
They could even sign in and not have to speak it
And they,
publicly. So you,
I've said my piece.
All right, but are you for or against?
no, I'll go with
Okay,
it.
okay.
At least we're consistent.
It's not dying on
All
that
right.
hill, Mike.
I actually have to leave soon.
Oh, no.
So-
We can't, I have to go also. I cannot-
Me too.
Unfortunately, we didn't get, so I just wanted to tell you, so I took the investment policy Marcia's thing, I reformatted it so it fits our policy format of things. And I have put in the margin here, there, my comments of suggestions of potential edits to this. I'm not wedded to these are just for discussion, for
Let's see.
kind of,
So let me, you want to do it quickly?
if we can do it in less than 5 minutes, because I
Oh, no, that looks
really
good.
gotta
Yeah.
get
I
going.
want to read it. I have not had
So-
a chance to read Mike's comments and I would really like to have a fully.
Yeah. Some of them, I don't know if my comment will explain my thinking fully, so I'm happy to explain if anybody, if we don't want to do, anybody wants to do questions about this or whatever over
You know
email.
what,
or
we've
just
lived with this investment
Or we
policy
just kind of-
forever, we don't have.
We just put it to next month,
Okay.
and move
I
along.
think 3 decisions is really good for this committee.
That's pretty good. I just
Yeah,
wanna, I
thanks
wanna
for
keep
the
the
long
momentum
run.
going.
I
I was telling Mike that I did take a look at the study rooms and meeting rooms policy. I've looked at others in the area. I've looked at some law, but I haven't had a chance to fully delve into it and understand it. So I can't present anything to you because I want to understand it first before I suggest it.
Damn it.
Just saying. I did start the process, but I want to be thorough and not present something that I don't.
So we'll
wanna-
discuss this and when we're ready, you have time to put it
And
together.
the-
We're doing really well as a committee.
So,
The photo policy too.
The what policy?
The photo, if they want.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And stuff.
Are you,
I got some stuff from Natalie
Oh,
oh, okay,
that I'll
good,
share.
good. All
I
right,
guess
well,
we're not
this-
having a governance.
this is productive for today, so,
this is
You
a
wanna pull the
governance
meeting to-
meeting, right?
yes. So motion to adjourn.
I'll set.
Okay, second by Marcia. Any discussion?
Oh, yes. I'm
Right.
not sure.
Job well done.
All right, all in favor? Okay, 6:43,
Right.
meeting is adjourned.
Stop this.
All right, everyone, thank you for.
Oh, you can do that.
All right,
Everybody good at yours? Your family good?
yeah.